right. All right, folks, we got a great show here today for you, and I'm going to bring in my guest here, Mr. Mike Ladano. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. This is man, we talked about this show for a little over a month to get it ready, and it's finally the day. It's almost like Christmas here.
Yes, and I've been preparing all week for this, and hopefully, everything goes according to plan, and I don't regret any of my choices.
All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to rank our 15 favorite Whitesnake songs. And we'll go 15, 14, and all the way down to number one. And we kind of kept it just as Whitesnake only. We didn't really factor in Coverdale solo or Coverdale Page. Like we were talking right before the show, this would have made it extra harder than it already was to begin with here. So tell people who might not be familiar with you on my channel who you are and about your channel and everything.
Sure. Well, my name is Mike. I am from Canada, and my channel is called Grab a Stack of Rock. And the story goes that I started live streaming during the pandemic, like very start, March of 2020. And by mid 2023, I was completely burned out. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was sick and tired of it. So I quit. And then my buddy, a good friend of mine named Uncle Meat, he said to me, Mike, you should still do a show. Just don't put so much work into it. Just grab a stack of rock and show it off to the camera. Show off your CD collection to the camera and call it Grab a Stack of Rock. And I was like, that's a great idea. And it kind of grew and grew from there. And now we do more intensive shows than just showing off random stacks of music. Like we just interviewed Blaze Bailey from Iron Maiden, and that's my pride and joy at the moment is the Blaze Bailey interview. We're doing a show called 50 Years of Iron Maiden right now, and we're right now hitting the reunion era with Bruce Dickinson. So if you're a Maiden fan, check out Grab a Stack of Rock. We've got an amazing series to show you.
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait to check out the next episode of that one. I'm not sure how many you're up to there,
Uh,
episode wise.
I believe the next one is 22 Brave New World with Davy Cretin.
Awesome. All right, sounds good. Well, how did you get into Whitesnake? How did it all start for you?
That's funny. I was just talking about this with my wife on the way to the lake yesterday. Um, in 1987, I'd never heard of this band called Whitesnake, and I didn't know who David Coverdale was. And all of a sudden, there's this video for "Here I Go Again" on my TV, and I thought, well, this must be a cool new band. And I recognized Vivian Campbell, and I recognized Tommy Aldrich, and then I realized that the blonde dude was actually Rudy Sarzo. So I was like, oh, I like these guys already, but it's a new band. And then I realized they had a previous album called Slide It In, so I figured they were a two-album band. And then one day in the winter of 1988, Geffen reissued all of the old Whitesnake albums on cassette and CD, but I was a cassette guy at the time. And I went to a local store with my buddy Bob, and they had like six Whitesnake albums that I've never seen before. And I was like, Bob, what are these? And he's like, I don't know. Is it the same band? And I was like, yeah, look, they've got the same logo. And then he points at Mickey Moody on the front cover of Live in the Heart of the City when he's got the cowboy hat. And he's like, yeah, but who the heck is that guy? And I was like, I think we need to do some investigation. So only then did I realize that Whitesnake were this band with this rich history. And in fact, David was in Deep Purple, and there were other guys from Deep Purple in this band. And once those albums were reissued on cassette, we just kind of dove deep and we started buying them one by one as our
Hmm.
meager allowance would allow us. And I think that is one reason why certain songs and certain albums that we're going to be talking about rank higher than others because I've been with them longer since the beginning of my Whitesnake journey. So I'm sure we'll get into that as we dig into these tracks.
All right, yeah, awesome. Yeah, my journey at Whitesnake was actually started by one of our friends. We used to get together like on the weekends, go out to the mall, and he's one of the ones that had his own car. He had the cassette, let's slide it in. So we're all in the car going to the mall, listening to that album, and everybody had to go out and buy one because it was just a great album. And that's how it all started from there. And like you said, I'm thinking, oh, this is a great album. I thought it was their only one. And you go and look at the mall, they had Come and Get It, they had Ready and Willing. I go, wow, I didn't know these guys had other albums out. And as you learn about it, you find out that they never really broke in America at that point. So Slide In was kind of the one album that kind of first got their feet wet in America, and obviously it snowballed from there. And yeah, just I really love digging deep into their catalog when I first found out about it because you learn all this stuff and see all these great songs that you never would have heard otherwise.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that takes us to the starting point. All right, so we're gonna go and try to rank these. We'll go back and forth, just the traditional one. We'll go 15. You do yours, I'll do mine, and you could say what you want about the song and tell whatever you want about it, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I guess pressure's on me here. Number 15. There could have been many also rans. There could have been many, many songs in this slot, but ultimately I decided to put this song in this slot because it's stuck in my head. And it's the very, very catchy from the Trouble album, Lie Down, a modern love song. And by a modern love song, I'm assuming he means that chorus, Lie down, I think I love you. Lie down, I think I care. Very cheeky David Coverdale, but that chorus is so catchy. And they had a knack for certain songs that had sort of like a pop chorus, I guess, would be what I'd call it. And I think Lie Down deserves the number 15 slot, despite the cringe-worthy lyrics at times. It's stuck in my head. So that's my number 15.
I guess great minds think alike somewhat. My number 15 comes from that same album, Trouble, but I'm going with the fast-paced, riotous "Take Me With You."
Ooh,
Love that song. I knew it was one going to make my list. I didn't think it was going to be as, number 15. I figured it'd be a little bit down by like 9 or 10, but when you got such a great catalog of songs, it's just tough. But "Take Me With You" is what I have here at number 15.
one thing I love about that song is you could almost imagine Deep Purple doing it. It's
Yeah.
so fast and furious. My number 14 is a well-known song, but I went with a very specific version because with Whitesnake, sometimes you have to do that. And I believe from the Ready and Willin' album, I went with the smash hit single Fool for Your Lovin', the original version. I know David has said in the past that, oh, it didn't have the right feel. It didn't feel like we were into it. It didn't feel like the band were passionate about it. But that Ian Pace groove, man, that original version for the groove, for the backing vocals, for the solos, everything about it, I think just trumps the later re-recording. So the original Fool for Your Love and number 14.
Yeah, I agree on what you said about that. I love the original version. That was the first one I ever heard. For me, obviously, because this album was out way before the when he re-recorded it, and yeah, it just seems you could tell the difference between the two simply. The newer ones all beefed up with keyboards and everything, but that old one just simply rocks, and I think the drumming is one of the keys to it, just like you mentioned there. So yeah, great choice. Fool for Your Lovin'. All right, so mine comes from the 1987 album. Probably a lesser known track that not too many people would have had on their list, but I do. And I just love the song. I'm going Straight for the Heart. Deep cut near the end of the album there. I've always liked the lyrics. I love the way Coverdale addresses the song and it's nothing special, but to me I just love the song and it's a little bit different than a lot of the songs on the album, like all the hits and everything. And I mean, it could have been a hit possibly if he would have released it as a single, but when you have all those great songs that he released before it, you can only release so many singles. So Straight for the Heart is what I got at number 14.
Great pick. When we were kids, we used to always try to pick out what the next singles would be. And if they did a fifth single, I think it would have been Straight for the Heart. As long as they didn't go with a ballad. Love that song. 13. So I've alluded to the Slip of the Tongue album already. I'm a huge Steve Vai fan. I think I was probably a Steve Vai fan possibly before I was a Whitesnake fan. So when he joined Whitesnake, I was really excited. And from the Slip album, I'm a big fan of Now You're Gone. I know it's also on his ballads album, but I don't really consider that a ballad. I consider it more just a good solid pop rocker. And Steve Vai has some of my favorite fills on that song. I really love his guitar work on that whole album. But Now You're Gone is just a magnificent song with a huge chorus. So that's why I picked it for my number 13.
All right, so my number 13, ironically, is going to come from that same album, Slip of the Tongue. And I'm going with The Deeper the Love. Uh, Number 28 in the US is where it peaked at, number 35 in the UK. A lot of radio airplay, had the great video. Um, yeah, I just love that song. Not usually this list, as you're gonna see, it's not, once we're all said and done. Um, it's not really filled with a lot of hits, believe it or not. Just to do a little spoiler alert there. But this one just sticks out. It was one they never really played a lot in concert or anything, which was nice, so they didn't overplay it. And yeah, that just Deeper to Love, number 13 for me.
Always love that song. All right, number 12. This is the last song that I added to the list as I revised.
Mm.
I was listening to the Saints and Sinners album, and that was the first one of the reissues that I heard. So it's been with me longer than the others. And I've always loved the song Dancing Girls. It's got that great riff. I love that. Bring on the dancing girls. Coverdale's cheeky. He's yeah, I love it. It's just a great song. Just a great song, and it's got that John Lord vibe to it as well.
Yeah, I think I saw a video of you playing that song.
Yep, that was the moment after I added it to the list.
Okay, so my number 12 was your number 13. Now You're Gone from Slip of the Tongue. I am really shocked that this song, it finally was released as a single off the album, and it peaked at number 96 only. Not sure quite what happened because this was still like, 1990. It really wasn't 91 yet where the grunge really started to kick in. It did make number 15 on the mainstream rock charts in the US and number 31 in the UK. But yeah, just a great song. I don't really consider it a ballad. It starts off a little on the slow side and everything, but it really kicks in by the time all is said and done. And I just love his voice on this one, and just one of the great songs from an album that really doesn't even get talked about much anymore. I mean, we just mentioned I had the Deeper the Love at number 13, and I did check something real quick, and Deeper to Love is the highest charting song from that album, believe it or not. You Fool for Your Love in the remake, they did that one, and then that one didn't even chart as well. Not as well as the Deeper the Love. So I don't know if they just picked the wrong singles at the wrong time on that album. I don't think they should have done Fool for Your Loving since it was widely known across the board beforehand by a lot of people. That's just my take on it. I think they just picked. I don't know if Coverdale had a lot to say with what singles were getting released, or if it was just a Geffen situation. But I feel that that's kind of where it started to, go down a little bit. I mean, it's still this album only sold 1 million. You're coming off an 8 million seller. But if you listen to the album, there's not really a throwaway track on it. So I just think the singles were the wrong ones that were picked for it. That's all. But great songs. That's my second one from Slip of the Tongue now in my top 15. So that's what I got. Number 12. Now You're Gone.
Funny you should mention that because I was doing my research yesterday, and it turns out David Coverdale wanted Judgment Day to be the first single released from Slip of the Tongue. He didn't want it to be Fool for Your Lovin'. And John Kolodner and the Geffen guys kind of twisted his arm and talked him into it. And he said he regrets making that decision. And I think if he had picked a different single as the lead single, the album might have done better. Because I do remember when it came out, when Fool for Your Lovin' came out, people were kind of like, that new Whitesnake song is just kind of eh.
Yeah.
And if they'd had something with more impact, that album might have sold more than 1 million. Who knows? But I guess I'm at number 11 now, and going off the beaten track with a B side.
Ooh.
Need Your Love So Bad, the
Oh.
1987 version, not the Slide It In version. Or yeah, Slide It In was the recorded as a B-side for that album. Then they recorded it again as a B-side for 1987, which has a lot. It's basically just synth and David singing, but so soulfully. And the first time I heard this song, I said to myself, I can see why it's not on the 1987 album because it's just very out of step with that heavy rock. But my God, is it a standout song, especially for his vocals. Maybe one of his best vocals in Whitesnake. So Need Your Love So Bad, the 87 version.
Right, there you go. That's a rarity putting that one in there. Like it, like it. All right. Well, my number 11 is an old song that David redid. I guess it would be considered the first remake that he did of his own song. And we're talking about Blind Man from Ready and Willing. It was originally on his first solo album. And I'm not sure the story behind it. But that is kind of where all these songs, I guess, got, to the point where he decided to redo them because he wasn't just keen on the original version. And yeah, he definitely improved on this one. I really love this one. Great song, great lyrics. Ready and Willing was, I believe, yeah, that was the first album that I bought after Slide It In when I went back into the catalog, and that was their highest charting one at that point, I believe, in the UK. And yeah, just a great song that most people go, "What? What's that song?" Because most people don't really know the history too much of the band if you go back deeper. But I love it, and that's where I got it, number 11.
Wicked. Well, for my number 10, we're going back once again to an album that I think clearly needs more attention, and that's the Slip of the Tongue album. It's really funny because I was looking at my Facebook memories this morning, and I had a Facebook memory from like 12 years ago where I wrote, when Steve Vai plays mainstream rock when he does like he does with Whitesnake, he's just awesome. And again, that's what I love about the title track, Slip of the Tongue. I love his acrobatic guitar work. It's all over the place. I'm not a guitar player. I couldn't tell you all the different techniques that he's throwing into this one song, but there's everything. Everything, power, speed, tricks, but it all works within the song. And every single fill that he does is different from the previous one. Having said that, I also just love the song. It's I don't know, maybe the fastest one on Slip of the Tongue. I think it's a fantastic opener. And when I first heard it, I was just blown away. And regardless of the fit Steve Vai made with Whitesnake, regardless of the fit, they did make a pretty impressive album for especially for guitar fans. Maybe guitar fans who think that Steve Vai's solo stuff is a little bit too left field. This is what you got to listen to. Whitesnake Slip of the Tongue, title track, my number
Yeah.
10.
All right. Yeah, that song definitely, when I seen him in 1990, that's what they opened up with, Slip of the Tongue, man. What a great show that was. And the cool thing was, by that time, Adrian Vandenberg had healed up and he was out on the road with him. And that's
Yeah,
another thing that we didn't bring up yet was the fact that Vi plays all the guitars on the album. And even though Adrian wrote a lot of the songs, he couldn't play because of a wrist injury on the album. So Vi came in and did a heck of a job, but some people hold it against him for whatever reason. I don't know. Um, but I thought he did a phenomenal job on the album, just like you said. So much so that my number 10 also comes from Slip of the Tongue. Um, we're talking Judgment Day. Just like you said, the Coverdale song that he initially wanted as the first single from the album, which I think would have changed the whole fortune of that album for sure. Uh, peaked at number 32 on the U.S. mainstream charts, so didn't really get too much of a chart action, not even in the mainstream, but it made that chart at least. But Coverdale still loves this song to this day, because I think pretty much every tour from 2011 on, he played it during the concert. So I mean, for him to play it, he wouldn't be playing it if he didn't like it. When Joel Hoekstra got in the band, the live version, man, he really brought a lot more to that song with him and Reb changing off on everything. Um, we won't know because Vi played all the guitars on the album, but in concert, I just love the dual riffs, and it makes the song even meatier, if that's a word that we can use here, beefier. But Judgment Day, number 10.
Wow. So I think folks better listen to the Slip of the Tongue album if they are ignoring that album. They really, after watching the show, they need to listen to it. My number nine, we're moving on. This is my second B-side of the list.
Oh,
And we're moving on past the initial Whitesnake era. They broke up around 1990 and reformed around 1994. They did a reunion album called Restless Heart with Adrian Vandenberg. And there was one song, well, there's a couple songs in there that I really like, but there's one ballad that I love, but I especially love the B-side version called Too Many Tears Part 2. Now, why is it called Part 2? I don't know. But basically, what this is a version with less guitar and horns. Horns. It's incredible. And there have been too many tears. Bah, bah, nah. All these really cool horns going on in there. And it's so different for Whitesnake. And I know that there's a Restless Heart box set out where you can get all these extra tracks and whatnot, but I sought out all of the CD singles at the time to get all the B sides, and this is the one. When I heard those singles, I was like, "Man, this is great stuff. This should be huge." But of course, that was in the mid '90s, and that album was barely released. I had to buy it on a UK import, and it was under the name David Coverdale and Whitesnake because I think there was some question of, oh, is the Whitesnake name even viable anymore? There was a lot of weird stuff going on in the mid '90s. There was an album by Blackie Lawless and Wasp. It was a weird time, but now Restless Heart's available as a official Whitesnake box set slash album, and check it out. There's some good stuff on there, and Too Many Tears Part 2 is my pick from that album.
yeah, it's an interesting story you got there with that. I remember I went up to Canada, Toronto, to HMV. I used to go there all the time and check out, because they had a lot more variety of releases and UK releases and all this other stuff. And that was like right before I had access to the internet, so I didn't really know about much of this stuff. And you go up there and you see a new album out, and I saw that same album, Restless Heart. It says David Coverdale and Whitesnake. I said, well, it's got the name Whitesnake on it and Coverdale. It's got to be good. So I bought it, and so many of my friends never heard of it. I'm playing songs off of it for them, and they're going, where's this? What is this?" And you had to tell them the story about how you found it up in Canada, and just a great. I mean, I missed the HMV store. I'll tell you that much right now. That place was a gold mine.
We could do an entire show on stories from that HMV store, my friend. I spent many dollars, many times at that store. Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that again. But let's move on to number 9 now for me. I am digging into my first track off of probably one of my favorite Nearest and Dear albums, Slide It In. And the song I picked for number 9 is Love Ain't No Stranger. Another song Coverdale just simply loves. He plays it every tour, up until he's no longer touring, but he played it pretty much every single tour since I've ever seen him. And, what a great song. What can be said? Cozy Powell's great drumming on it. The slow keyboard intro. Yeah, just a great song. It's a standout track of the catalog for sure. Peaked at number 33 on the US mainstream only and a hit number 44 in the UK. Oddly enough, they released it as a single, obviously, but it just didn't really do much. But it was before. Had it been released around the time of after 87 had come out, it definitely would have done a lot better. So number 9, Love Ain't No Stranger.
Hmm. Maybe we'll hear about that song more later on. I guess that's number 8 for me now. And I went all the way back to the Snakebite EP. And that was my first Whitesnake CD that I owned because that was reissued as an album on CD. And I got it for Christmas of 1989. It was one of the first 3 CDs that I got. And I've always been drawn to piano rock. And John Lord, obviously, we talked about him with Dancing Girls, and we may hear more from John Lord later on. But there's a song on the Snakebite EP which does not have John Lord that has a lot of piano, and that's a song called Bloody Mary.
Mm.
And I didn't really know what the lyrics were about back then, but now I understand what Madame Palm and her five sweet daughters couldn't give the man what the doctor ordered. I understand what that means now, but what a boogie! I'm thinking a lot of people kind of compare this kind of song to sort of like a heavier Guess Who. I hear like Ronnie James Dio had a band called Elf with a lot of boogie piano stuff too, and a lot of people kind of compared that to a heavier Guess Who. I guess I understand that Burton Cummings with the piano, but Bloody Mary, that's the one. That's the standout from the Snakebite EP to me. It's just fun. It's upbeat. Got tons of that boogie piano and a killer chorus. So that's my pick.
Right. Well, that's a yeah. I know what you're saying exactly about that piano and that song. Yeah. There's so much of that older material that really never gets its just due. So it's good to see a song like that pop up right in the list here. Definitely a highlight of the catalog there. All right. So going to number 8 for me. Um, Gonna go back to the album I was just on, Slide It In. And we're gonna go back to Guilty of Love. Just love this song. And it was never really, if I'm not mistaken, was released as a single. It did peak at 31 in the UK, but did nothing in the US. Although I think that was, I don't think the US really got, that's the album that kind of started to lay down the foundation for them to break through finally in the market here. But um, the two songs there aren't. This isn't one of the two songs that I heard on the radio much. This song never really got radio airplay here at all, to tell you the truth. But I remember there was a video for it because
Yes.
they did like a live shot of it at one of their live concerts. I'm not sure if it was Donington or something over there, but they did a big show over in the UK and they filmed it from there. And man, what a great song, and the live version kicks ass too. But Guilty of Love, number 8 for my list here. I just love it.
That was a runner up for me. It's so upbeat. It's so
Yeah,
catchy. Great guitar lick on that song. Oh, so good. Um, I guess I'm at number 7 now. And for that one, I've gone back to the piano. And there's a song on Come and Get It, which might be my favorite of the classic Coverdale Whitesnake albums. Come and Get It is a really special album to me. Song called Wine, Women, and Song.
there you
Love
go.
that. Love it. And it's another one of those cheeky Coverdale things. It's like all he needs is wine, women, and song. Says it all. And it's just a great upbeat song with another great piano line. And it was really hard to pick just one song from Come and Get It. I could have picked any number of them. Child of Babylon, the title track, so many. But I went with my niche, the piano rock, wine, women, and song.
Nice. Okay, Wine, Women, and Song is number 7 for you. For me, staying on my same album, Slide It In. And this time I've got the title track. Slide It In. Probably the second song that really helped me get into this band. Um, it just a great song. One of the ones that stayed in the set list all these years. And I was listening to it the other day. I said, "Man, this sounds so good," because I haven't heard it in a little while. But man, as soon as I heard it, man, I go, "Yeah, this is definitely going to make it higher on the list than I would have thought." I figured it'd be like more like 11 or 12. But when I really listened to it, I said, man, yeah, how can I not have it where I'm going to be putting it here? So today, Slide It In is at number 7.
Okay. Man, that album's getting some love too. Hang on, let me see where I am here. So I guess I'm at number 6.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So my number 6, we're going also to the Slide It In album
Ooh.
with a track called Slide It In. You got the singles on the album and you got the album cuts. And it's funny, when I bought this album on cassette back in the day, Slide It In was the opening track.
Yeah.
But on the CD copy that I own now, it's Gambler is the opening track. But for me, Slide It In will always be the opening track. And first time I heard it, I was just like, this is a great song.
Oh
Why
yeah.
is this not a single? It's another one that they could have picked it as a single. Well, maybe not. Maybe the lyrics would have prevented it from being a single. But plenty of love for that track.
Yeah, yeah. That's I don't know. At that time, there was a lot of songs that had some lyrics that you could have been questionable, especially now when all these people now look back into that time frame, all these politically correct people or whatever they're called nowadays, where they're going around and trying to change things, and this is something that definitely doesn't need to be touched. That's just a great song, great title. Take it for
You,
what you want.
you know what? As an adult, I read the lyrics and I'm kind of like, okay, it's juvenile, but it's cute, it's funny. But as a kid, I didn't actually. I'm a kid. I didn't actually know what he was really talking about. I just thought it was a cool phrase.
Yeah,
Kind of like lick it up,
there you
slide it
go.
in, lick it up. To me, it was just like a rock and roll phrase, and I knew it was something sexual, but I didn't really put too much thought into it. So, I think these lyrics are rather harmless when you consider that, but maybe not poetry.
All right, so that was your number six. Mine is going to dig into the 1987 album. So your pizza people are probably thinking, he hasn't really said none of these radio-friendly singles yet, but you're not going to get one. We are talking Bad Boys, which is one of the great songs that Coverdale usually opens his show with in the latter years. Matter of fact, when they came here in 2016, that was the first song they played. Bad Boys, loved it. Just a great song. Starts the puts the whole tone and mood to the show in perfect order to kick off a fast-paced song like that. And yeah, I just love Bad Boys. I know it does, obviously there's a couple other songs that got a lot more airplay, sold a lot more copies of songs because they were released as singles. Bad Boys is one of those typical songs that you didn't expect it to be released as a single, but it's just a great song. And that's what I've got here for number six.
Definitely a highlight from that album. As I work my way down through my list, I realize maybe I've missed a couple of albums, or not missed them completely, but maybe didn't give them enough love. And now I'm seeing my last picks are basically all centered around two albums. So sticking with Slide It In, we got Love Ain't No Stranger again. And this is a song that I first heard I saw it as a music video. It was after Whitesnake had broken big and the stations were starting to play the older stuff. And I was like, wow, this song's incredible. Like it should have been big back in '84. And it's that chorus. It's to me like the verses are great, but the chorus, it just when the band comes in full power, bum bum bum, bum bum bum. I love it. Um, that lineup of the band was very special with Cozy Powell on drums. That's when I discovered Cozy Powell was this album, and he just looked cool in the music videos. Like he's leaning back and playing these cool fills and stuff. Man, I don't know if there's ever been a cooler drummer for me than Cozy Powell. So that album's special, and so is Love Ain't No Stranger.
All right. Well, finally got to bring down the tone. A lot of my songs seem to have a faster pace to them. We're going to go down a little bit in tone here. Going to go back to one of your favorite albums here, Slip of the Tongue. And I was fortunate enough to see this song live a couple times with Whitesnake, and I also just seen it last year with Adrian Vandenberg did a tour, and we got to see him play, and he played this song. And we're talking about the great Sailing Ships. Just love this song. Coverdale kind of mixed it in with Judgment Day when he came in 2016, which was cool only because of the fact he wasn't playing Sailing Ships much. But for that tour, he started off with Sailing Ships, played about 3 minutes of it, did a quick version, and then went right into Judgment Day. Just killer. But Sailing Ships, just love the lyrics. Just that song just lot means a lot to me. To me, it's the best song off Slip of the Tongue. And I must have about 4 or 5 songs from that album. So it goes to show you how important the album is to me as well.
I think that's the best lyric that he's ever written as a solo artist. Sailing ships. Yeah. That's a special song for sure. Amazing pick. Okay, number 4. This is my final pick from the Slide It In album, and it is my favorite from that album because I discovered that you could play guitar with this thing called a slide, and it made a really cool sound. Bow, down, down, bow, down, down. And I was like watching John Sykes in the music video with this thing on his finger, and what is he doing? Sounds cool. And I think Slow and Easy is just well, obviously I didn't think it's the best Whitesnake song of all because we still have 3 more to go after this, but I sure do love Slow and Easy. It's really hard to rank these things when you get this high.
Oh yeah.
Um, and really, aside from the fact that it's an absolutely killer rock song with more killer Cozy Powell drum madness going on, it all comes down to that slide. Certain things as a kid, piano rock, slide guitar, they really started to impact me. And ever since then, I've really loved seeking out tracks with certain instrumentation. So a little bit later on after this, I discovered a band called Led Zeppelin, and they had a song called Traveling Riverside Blues, which was all slide. But, it was because of David Coverdale and Whitesnake that I got to that point where I liked that stuff. It was all because of Slow and Easy. A very impactful song in my life. And I think absolutely, for me personally, the best song on Slide It In.
Nice. Well, we may be hearing something more about that one a little later. We'll see. But for now, my number 4, gonna go dig back a little deeper. Gonna go back to the year 1980 and the Ready and Willing album, and I'm gonna dig out the Lost Gem. Ain't Gonna Cry No More. Oh my God. When I first got this album, because it was like the second Whitesnake album I got, there's a couple songs on there that, The Fool for Your Loving and Sweet Talker and all these great songs. But the one that stood out for me was this one, Ain't Gonna Cry No More. Just a great song. And just it's one of those ones that always eluded me because he never really got played it live much over the years, unless you were like in the UK or something. And that was another interesting thing how these guys, like a band like Whitesnake, and there's other ones too, but they would focus different music when they played shows in the UK as opposed to the US, stuff like that, even on headlining shows. Um, but luckily, the North America folks like us, we got treated to some gems throughout the years here and there where they mixed in, like we got Burn a couple times finally down the road and because of the Purple album and stuff, and a couple of these other songs. So it was great. I would have loved to have seen this one live. Definitely my number 4, no doubt about it. Ain't gonna cry no more today.
Awesome. Looking at my top 3, I think they're all from the same album, but it was an important album to me. And I believe this song was the opener for the Saints and Sinners albums, a song called Young Blood. Your hot property. So much energy. Um, again, it's a lot about nostalgia. This was, I guess, grade 10 for me. And Whitesnake were big, big, big in my life at that point. And hearing these early songs for the first time, Young Blood kicking off that album, it just always jumped out at me. And when I was listening to Whitesnake this week, putting together this list,
Mhm.
that's an album I kept coming back to and a song that just stuck in my head over and over and over again. I'd be rocking myself to sleep, and Coverdale would be calling me "Young Blood, your hot property" in my head. So that's why I picked it. It was just stuck in my head all this week as I did the listening. Young Blood, number 3.
All right. Saints and Sinners, yeah. There's an album that doesn't really get, it's known for a couple things, but more or
Yes.
less re-recorded songs that were initially on that album for the most part with the general public. Well, number three for me though, we're gonna dig back in. This is my final song from this album. Talking Slide It In, and we're piggybacking off of you. Slow and Easy. Man, oh man, oh man. I think there was one tour where they didn't play this song, and I was so upset because I think it was the Purple tour. I think they didn't play it because they had played all those Deep Purple songs, and they kind of had to kick out some songs. But Slow and Easy, man, oh man, what a great song. You know, that Cozy Powell and it's just interesting too. What Slow and Easy, what's your take on the UK version? Because you got to remember, Sykes didn't play on that version,
Right. I've always preferred the US versions. Those are the ones that I grew up with.
right?
I actually didn't listen to the UK version this week, so I'd need a refresher on the differences. But yeah, the lack of John Sykes is probably the key factor. His solo on the US version of Slow and Easy is so good.
Oh yeah.
So I that's just the go-to version. But funny enough, when I talk to my friends from the UK, that's their go-to version, the UK version.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess everybody likes the version that they grew up with, or the one
Yeah.
they had. You're more familiar with it. You know, I never even knew that there was a UK version when I first heard Slide It In, because there was no internet. I didn't know much about it, My buddies got the cassette, were playing it, listening to it, just a great album, what we thought. And then you go back in time and then you look, oh, there was another version that they put out and they re-recorded, remixed it and did all those other things to it. But they definitely improved it and made it much, much better. That's great, the final product that we got on it from the original. Because yeah, the UK version to me, you can definitely see how much weaker it is compared to the US version, no doubt. But so slow and easy from Slide It In, number three. That's a no-brainer for me.
Well, David Coverdale likes the word blood a lot in his song titles. I've already mentioned Bloody Mary and Young Blood, but there's another one,
Hmm.
Bloody Luxury,
Yes.
upbeat, fun. Uh, the John Lord keyboard part, it's just one of the most fun songs off that album. And I think I'm still on Saints and Sinners, aren't I? With Bloody
Yeah.
Luxury.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That album must have had some serious impact on me for these groupings to all be at the top here. Can't say enough good stuff about how much fun that album is for me to listen to today. So Bloody Luxury is my number two, which is really high for these kind of obscure deep cuts.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I wouldn't have expected those songs to be up there. But you're kind of like me though. You don't really have a lot of the hits on here, which is you know, people are going to be trying to look on here and see, oh, where's Is This Love? Where is
Right.
Here I Go
So
Again, stuff like that.
so at least you covered some 1987 album stuff. My only track, I realize now, my only track was a B-side, Need Your Love So Bad.
Wow.
But I guess that's just because certain albums, can get also overplayed. You
Yeah.
picked some better deep cuts from that album, but I just kind of went for a B-side.
Yep. Well, I'm really going to go obscure here now because the only way you could hear this studio version of this song that I got at number two is from the Snakebite EP. And we're talking about the cover song, no less, too. Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City. Just love this song. First time I heard it, knew it was a great song. I actually heard the live version first because the Snakebite CD wasn't out yet. And when I went back and started to go through the catalog of the band, they had the live album out, Live in the Heart of the City. And
Right.
that's where I heard it from first. So, that's definitely the song that and then I found out they had the studio version and it's very similar, just a great Coverdale vocal and the band plays the song immaculate. Just love this song. It's always stuck out for me, and I finally, for the only time, got to see them do it live. I believe it was in the mid 2000s, I believe, in Toronto. They played the old, well, I think it's called Rebel now, nightclub. It used to be called the Docks.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yep. They played a show there with Honeymoon Suite, great double bill, and they played this song. And actually, I think they opened with Burn that show too. So we got two bonus songs that they never really played over here at that point, up to that point, and here in the North American side of things. So, man, what a great feeling it was being in the audience hearing this one live. I'll tell you, it just makes my love of the song even more. Like you said, certain songs stand out for certain reasons. That definitely seeing that live definitely probably gave it a little bit of a boost up on my list here. It still would have definitely been top five, I believe, but I just love that song. So that's what I got for my number two, and this is going to be number one here. This is going to be interesting.
Well, regarding your number two,
Yeah,
we listened to the Live at Donington set with Steve Vai, the 1990 show, and that was the only pre-slided in track that they played at that show on that tour. So that's a long-lived song for them. That says a lot.
yeah.
But number one, it was my number one back when I first heard it in '88. Still my number one today. And to quote Mr. Coverdale, my heart's beating heavy, banging like a big bass drum, and all you blue jean queens know exactly where I'm coming from. I'm looking for some rock and roll angels.
Ah,
Love that song. I love that piano boogie. I love that hook that I just said to you. Um, it jumped out at me from the first time I heard it, and reviewing all these songs this week, it's still my number one. Rock and Roll Angels from the Saints and Sinners album.
nice. Well, I figure if you had Bring On the Dancing Girls, you were probably going to follow it up with this one. But I will say this.
They are kind of a pair, yeah.
Yeah, this is my favorite song off of this album, Rock and Roll Angels, and it almost made my list. Just missed off, unfortunately. But that is definitely one of my favorite Whitesnake songs. But of course, I got like 50 favorite Whitesnake songs, so it makes it
Right,
really hard, you know what I mean?
right.
But yeah, I love that song too. Great choice. Definitely didn't see it coming, but glad it wasn't Here I Go Again.
Well, nothing against that song because my wife is in the car with me listening to these songs, and which one does she gravitate to? Here I Go Again. So there's always room for that song.
Yeah, I just feel that song, it's interesting about that song since it's not on our list here. Interesting thing real quick before I build up the suspense for my number one. Um, when I first heard it off of the 87 album, at that point the album had just come out, so they weren't playing it at that point yet. I listened to the album in its entirety. And this was before I ever had Saints and Sinners. And I said, this song could be huge. This is the next single. Sure enough, it was. Went all the way to number one.
Yeah.
Make me a record executive, please. I picked it way before anybody else did. So, yeah. So I just love that it did go really good. I just didn't expect it to be so overplayed when this band has so many other great songs to play and pick and choose from. I guess that's the bad side of having a really strong, successful single is that over time, hearing it for the 20,000th time, it gets a little old sometimes. But my number one, no matter how many times I play it, I could probably listen to it 20 times in a row and still not get sick of it. We're going to dig into what album? 1987 once again. And I knew this was number one before I even started the list. It's probably my favorite song of all time. I just love it. And we're talking Still of the Night.
Yeah. Okay.
Just no doubt about it. Still of the Night just grabs me and never let me go. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. Just great song. I love it. Well, other people might feel the way I felt about Here I Go Again because I hear it all the time. But um, yeah, that song just reached out and grabbed me. It was the first song I heard off the album. When I first heard it, I said, wow. Simply amazing. Interestingly enough, it only reached number 79 in the US. They did release it as a single and number 16 in the UK. So it didn't peak as high as you would think, as popular of a song it is. Obviously, they always close out all their concerts with that song. So that's the one that Coverdale really feels is his strongest song, I guess, because why else would he close out with only that one every show he's ever done ever since the album came out? Yeah. But So that's what I got for mine. Still of the Night. I'm not sure what your take is on the song.
Oh man, okay. So if I was going to pick one song from the album itself, it would have been "Still of the Night." Um, that opening guitar, I mean, right there, they've
Yeah.
hooked you. And then Coverdale comes in with that extremely powerful, very bluesy chorus. In the still of the night, awesome. I was very influenced by music videos at the time. That was a very striking music video with Tawny Katane and very different from what I saw with Here I Go Again. Um, very, very, I don't know, just it was sexy, it was dark, it was impactful, and the song itself was incredible. You get to that solo section where I think he's doing like volume swells on his guitar knob to kind of make it sound like a violin.
Hmm.
In the music video, Adrian is actually playing it with a violin bow, but I don't think you can actually play it that way on a guitar. I know Jimmy Page was personally offended when he saw Adrian Vandenberg pick up a violin bow and play it like that. He's like, well, they're just ripping me off. But Still the Night stands up. It is not a Led Zeppelin ripoff. They both draw from the well of the blues. But, the more I listened to Whitesnake this week, they were not ripping off Led Zeppelin. They really weren't. David Coverdale just happens to sing in a certain way, and it was a very popular way of singing in the late 80s. And a lot of bands were influenced by Led Zeppelin. I don't think Whitesnake were ripping anybody off. Still of the Night would be a magnificent pick for my list, but you can only pick 15.
Yeah, I don't, that's the only song that you really ever hear them try to compare them to Zeppelin anyways. It's not like there's like a whole album like Kingdom Come, everybody called them Led Zeppelin clones because of all their songs sounding similar to Zeppelin.
Yeah,
Although I don't see that either. I love Kingdom Come's first album.
it's great.
But yeah, other than that, the only other song that kind of might touch a little on Zeppelin is Judgment Day a little bit because of the heaviness and the uniqueness of it. But other than that, I can't see any other comparisons really. So yeah, it's just dumb luck that everybody said that about Still of the Night. And then interestingly enough, it went on to Jimmy Page and David Coverdale playing together and making an album together. So very interesting there. So yeah, so that's what we got for our 15. I had a couple songs. I'm sure you do too that maybe came close but didn't quite cut it. If you want to mention those out.
Well, you and I talked yesterday about what would have happened if we included David Coverdale's solo stuff, and I've always kind of considered the song. Oh God, now I've forgotten the Last Note of Freedom. I've always considered
Yep.
that almost a Whitesnake song because it kind of came at the tail end of Whitesnake, just as the band was broken up. Came out on a movie soundtrack called Days of Thunder, and it's very different from Whitesnake, but it does have the power and
Yeah.
the vocal prowess of David Coverdale, especially when he lets it rip towards the end. You need love. You gotta want it so bad. It's very Whitesnake.
Yeah.
And, just to kind of cap off my high school journey, that song was, for whatever reason, the soundtrack to our high school graduation slideshow.
Cool.
It was kind of weird. I'd never heard it before because I didn't have that soundtrack. And I was like, whoa, what is this Coverdale stuff? So that song was always very special to me. I could have picked any number of tracks from 1987. I almost put the remix of Here I Go Again on my list, just because it is a little bit different. It's not as
Yep.
tired. I almost put the 1980 version, from Saints and Sinners, like a hobo. I was born to walk alone. That
Yep. Yep.
version. I almost put these on my list. It was very hard. Um, and you and I also talked about some of the pre-Whitesnake solo stuff. There's a song called "Only My Soul" that you and I were
Mm.
both talking about. I would
Oh,
have picked that if I was stretching the rules a bit. That one's really special to me because it has a violin solo. I was always looking for rock songs that use different instrumentation when I was a
yeah.
younger guy. I was always looking for something a little bit outside of the box, and that violin solo on "Only My Soul" is a great example of just slightly outside the box. And so, yeah, I would spot like those three songs that didn't make my list or could not qualify for my list.
Yeah, Only My Soul, definitely that. And I also love North Winds off the same album, North Winds. Just two great songs that we couldn't, we decided just to keep it all White Snake. So, kind of. Blind Man, at least they re-recorded it, so that's why it snuck in
Yeah.
here. But if they didn't, I wouldn't have been able to pick it. But the three songs that I had left over from my initial list that I got written down here, this one peaked at number 55 from the Love Hunter album. We're talking Long Way from Home.
Almost made my list too.
Yep, I
Yeah.
think that's the lead off track from the album. I just love
Yeah.
that song. Restless Heart has a song I got on here. Can't Go On.
Mm.
Great ballad. Great ballad. That was one of the songs that really reached out and grabbed me from that album. And this next one, I almost thought it was going to make my top 15. It just missed it. Just missed it. Peaked at number 17 in the UK from the album Come and Get It. I've really grown to like this song a lot over the last 5 years of my life here. Don't Break My Heart Again.
Yep.
I never was a big fan of this song, and then I started giving it a more of a listen. I'm going, where did I miss this song? It's just a great song, and I love that riff there and the drums, keyboard. Yeah, just a great song. It definitely had to mention it. That's why I got it under the honorables here.
Well, I'm glad you did. Those are great songs, and yeah, they're all special to me as well.
So yeah, so there we go. Give you guys some different Whitesnake songs to listen to compared to the normal. You didn't get a lot of the hits. You got a couple of the real good standard ones. But man, we really shook up the list pretty good here, especially you with the B-sides.
I have always loved collecting B-sides. And speaking of which, if you love the Steve Vai stuff, there's a great song called Sweet Lady Luck that didn't make the album. It's on that box set that you can see in Joey's shelf there. There are lots of great Whitesnake songs that aren't on this list and aren't on albums. So, dig deep, kids. Do your homework and listen to some Whitesnake.
Get those box sets because they have a lot of good stuff on them. I think the Slip of the Tongue one actually has a demo of the Vandenberg song "Burning
Yeah,
Heart,"
Burning Heart.
which is great because I remember when that album before it came out, they covered was doing all the press for it. He was telling everybody that was going to be on the album and was going to be probably a single, and that
Yeah,
they redid it and never did, never came out anywhere. And now we find out it was only a demo, so they never really got past the demo stage, I guess, because I don't have any version of it other than the demo.
correct. I think what happened was after Adrian's injury, they were like, well, we're not doing it without him.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah.
So that was a
But yeah,
shame.
that's on there. It could have been a single.
Yeah, and that could have been the song that really would have pushed Slip of the Tongue into the stratosphere, possibly, had they would have
Yeah.
were able to release it as a single, because other people were familiar with it. Obviously, it was a big song for Adrian and his band Vandenberg. But yeah, it was great seeing that one live too when I got to see Adrian. He did a lot of the Whitesnake stuff, but he did some Vandenberg songs. What a great show. That's definitely another highly recommended show. It's just a shame now that, Coverdale decided not to do any more touring. They were supposed to come over here. They were on that Scorpions bill initially.
Yeah.
And once he had the vocal situation or whatever was going on with him there, and he did not announced he wasn't going to be doing any more touring, man, that's such a heartbreak because he was still, when I saw him in 2019, which was the last time, he was still sounding pretty good for considering all the vocal issues he had throughout his career and everything. No one's going to sound like they did 20 years ago, none of these guys, but it's just good to see an artist going out there and trying to give it their all without trying to doctor things up with backing tracks and all
That's
that
right.
kind of stuff. So you gotta take the warts and all, if you really like the artist, and that's just my take on things like that.
Yeah, total respect for David. When he started having vocal issues, he brought in another band member, Dino, on keyboards and backing vocals to kind of help out with that. And who knows what the actual situation is? Maybe if he toured again, maybe he would lose his voice permanently, kind of like they say Steven Tyler. If he toured again, it would be the end of his voice. So, you have to respect the human body and your limitations and bow out when it's time. And fortunately, David Coverdale, in his bowing out, has given us a treasure trove of those box sets. There is another one coming for Forevermore. That is the next one coming. An album we didn't touch on, but has some great tracks on it, such as the title track, Forevermore. Still So Good to Be Bad was one of the last box sets released. Some great songs on there that we didn't touch on. Um, and Flesh and Blood, the last Whitesnake studio album, not including Purple album. We don't count that one. Um, with one of my favorite guitar players, Joel Hoekstra, that you mentioned. You know, he's done some great stuff in these latter years, and just because it's not on our list doesn't mean don't seek it out. Do seek it out.
Oh yeah, actually, I like that Flesh and Blood album more than I do some of those other later releases.
I do too. For me,
I
it's
re
Still Good to Be Bad, Forevermore, and Flesh and Blood. That's the order I would. Yeah,
yeah, I really like that Flesh and Blood, so I can't wait to see what kind of stuff would be on that box set when it comes out.
I'm sure he'll do that.
Should be interesting. All right, well, Mike, this is our first show together where it was just the two of us. I know we were on a show with Slogans Rock and Roll Extravaganza before, but it was
White
great having.
Lion that time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was great having you on here, and appreciate you coming aboard again. Like I said, any other things you want to plug that you got coming up?
Just if you are so inclined, check out Grab a Stack of Rock. We're doing 50 years of Iron Maiden, and it's a series of which I am very, very proud. And getting Blaze Bailey on the show was just the cherry on top for me.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait to check all this stuff out. Just time doesn't always permit on my end. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah,
So it's just a matter of finding some time to sit down and relax and do all this. But yeah, it sounds good. Can't wait to check out some of that stuff. And well, hopefully we'll have you back on shortly, soon, sometime down the road, and do some more rankings here.
I promise you this: our paths will cross again.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, thank you.
Take care.